say goodbye, bro. Say goodbye. That's it. I wish I could play that song. It's so hard to say goodbye.
It's not that hard.
To you. You mean it's not that hard, bro? This
It's
is
not that
this
hard.
is a legend.
It's fine. It's like, it's one of them things where it's like, you're at work and they're like, oh, my grandma died. And you're like, oh, dude, I'm sorry. And you're like, how old was she? She was 105. And you're just like, oh, dude, what the fuck? Like, get the fuck away from me. Like, dude, she had to go at some point,
as soon as
buddy.
you hear 105, you're like, God damn, about time. Fuck.
Yeah, right?
She was
you should be sad she had to go that hard.
She was being selfish with death schedule, to be honest with you. She kept putting that shit off, bro.
She kept putting it off. Yeah, it's not that hard, bro. Come on. Stop it. It was a great run. We loved it. Nostalgia dies, But the tapes are there. You can go back and watch it if you miss it that much.
Should we be giving him a little bit more credit to the idea that he made it rock for as long as he did? Like even like in the when it was in the 90s and stuff, and we had very limited access and very limited internet, and it's very obvious. I can't think of a single time where anybody around me actually thought he was a dead man, but they did love the gimmick and they did like what he was doing. And
I don't know. With me at my young age, he was kind of scary.
Yeah, with the eyes in the back of his head. And
it was a little scary. The bone.
Yeah,
that shit. It gave me nightmares a couple times. I'll give him
so
that.
I ain't going front. He got me. He got me a couple times. But
was strong.
He was able to do it all the way, to an era where it was obvious that this was just pure gimmick, and yet still it fucking worked. Of course, we're beating around the bush. I'm talking about The Undertaker. The Undertaker stating that the Deadman character, coat, the hat, the whole shebang, that's kind of over, done, no sense in bringing it back. Let the legend live the way that it is, and we're moving on to other things. He's going to be more himself, more Mark, moving forward, which I think is dope for him. If there's anybody who's earned the ability to just retire a gimmick, I guess it would be him. Like, for as long as he kept up the kayfabe of it, he didn't break the tradition, albeit as difficult as it got over the. He missed Hall of Fames because he didn't. The Undertaker doesn't go to a Hall of Fame. He missed media opportunities because the Undertaker is not going to be on fucking Sports Center and First Take in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things that were on the table for other people that weren't on the table for him because he wanted to keep to that gimmick so hard. So now, and I know people hear that and they go, wow, 30 years of... Well, no, it wasn't a full 30 years. He was the American Badass before. I want to say 2000 to about 2004. So there's about a 4-year run in there where he was, I am American Badass. He was doing that, and then he had the Big Evil. You've done it now. You're gonna make a big mistake.
I remember that one. Yeah.
That shit was hot. Boom, you're gonna pay. You're gonna pay. He had the rolling. That was a hot intro. Now, I'm not gonna fucking front. I was in the building for a few times for that shit. With the bell and then the steps. Boom. Cause y'all been loving this shit right here. Get rolling. That was hot. And I know people hear that now. Limp Bizkit. No, Limp Bizkit was the shit back in the day. Fuck your face. Fuck your face. I grew up in an era where I wanted to break stuff. How about that?
Didn't Fred Durst do a song with Method Man?
Yeah, it was.
The same person?
Yeah, no, it was the Rollin' Air Raid remix.
Yeah,
it wasn't just Method. Hold on, you got me fucked up. Hold on a second. Because I'm not going to play the song because we're going to get flagged, but let me get the fucking... Because there's more than just... That shit was loaded. Hold on a second. Rollin' Air Raid. Okay. Who else was in the fucking... Oh, no. There it is. It was the Urban Assault Vehicle version. It was Limp Bizkit featuring Method Man, Redman, and DMX.
Oh my god.
Fucking Hall of Fame.
That's a cosign.
That's a Hall of Fame, son. That
Yeah,
shit
for
was
real.
hot. But yeah, so the Undertaker stated. Oh, actually, I have it. Let me not just assume. It says it right here. Essentially retiring his. These are the comments on retiring Deadman, the Deadman character. Mark and Taker. It's kind of all morphed together now. So what I've tried to do with the original character is kind of let it rest in peace. No pun intended. That's why I don't make appearances anymore with the hat and coat. On whether he would reprise his Deadman character one more time, he says, everybody's got a price, but I try not to. The number would have to be really, really big. It would have to be, and it would have to make sense somehow. So yeah, I've really pushed to kind of be more Calloway now, Mark Calloway now, because I want to honor that character and the work that I did and all the kayfabing that I did for the character. If there was something left in the tank as far as me getting back in the ring, then I would have to figure out some kind of way of something catastrophic to happen to Mark Calloway to bring the other guy out. But that's just not going to happen. Not being corny, but I do want to let The Undertaker kind of rest in peace and kind of everything now that you see, like the other night on the Netflix deal, was the American Badass. He's talking about the step out he did with Rhea. On the perks of being the American Badass again. That's fun for me at this point. So much more fun, and it frees me up to do things like that where I can kind of cross over. I dig it. He hit the nail on the head for all that kayfabe that he did to try to keep that character what it was. He does deserve the opportunity to just call it quits. But, it also begs the question, erase 1990 for just a second. Let's say the Undertaker character didn't debut in 1990. That character would have no shot in fucking hell of existing in 2025. I don't believe that it would. I feel like that character would be laughed out of the fucking arena if somebody did that right now. I'm saying like it never happened. We've never seen it before. Some guy dressed up in the coat with the hat and the whole shebang, the vulture, yes, Percy Pringle, the whole shebang, the whole. Think of like the best moments of the Undertaker with that character. If it never happened and we just saw it for the first time now, I'm not entirely sure that fucking gimmick would get over. Dude.
I don't know, because if you really think about the way that it looked in the era that he kind of stuck out like a sore thumb also.
From that era.
Think in your brain, envision some of the, I don't know what you want to call them, the splash art, like when they're going to have a match and it's like Undertaker versus Psycho Sid. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know how they'll have like the image showing you the
match card.
Think of those. Think of them. They were, the match cards. They think of them and like the way they looked. He looked out of place there too. I truly always remember and go like, Taker's like so different compared to everybody else. Everybody's trying to be big. Everybody's trying to be brawly. Everyone's trying to be the thing that Vince McMahon loves, and that's giant, muscular people that can fight, right? Or perceive that they can fight. Undertaker wasn't really that. I mean, he was a big guy. Don't get me wrong. He was a big guy. But his gimmick was different. And I think he would stick out like a sore thumb today just the same as he did then. I don't think he fit in well there either. I just think he did his gimmick. He committed to it. He did well in the ring, and people fell in love with him and fell in love with the gimmick. I think he'd do the same thing today. I think so.
It's so funny because the character had such longevity and was done so well that people forget that it came out during an era. Remember the era of WWE where everything was a fucking occupation? So it was like you were a barber. He wasn't different. He was an occupation, same as all the other ones. It was the barber. It was the mechanic. It was this person, and then it was this guy who was a literal Undertaker. That was the gimmick when it first started. He was digging graves. They had him making coffins. That was the promo segment. He would make he wouldn't talk too much. He had Paul Bearer do most of the talking. So he was like literally in the background, like clanking nails together and putting a coffin together, and that was the gist of the promos, where it's like, we're making a box just for you, Psycho Sid, and like that was the whole deal. As the occupations died off, and we started seeing less hockey players and race car drivers.
He turned into the dead people?
He kind of started morphing into my creatures of the night and summoning my power from the depths of hell. And I was like, wait a minute. You were getting the W2 like a second ago, and now all of a sudden you're like, you're the devil. And then he turned into the ministry, and he became the actual devil and all kinds of shit. He evolved so many different ways that it was funny.
Sure.
But his initial run, because you're saying that he stood out, to me in 1990, his look, because he's 6'9", he looked like a goddamn, like an actual living, breathing giant, like of biblical times. He looked so humongous, and the hair drapes down over his face, that wet look that he had, and the fact that he would never sell anything. So every time somebody would hit him with a big move, he'd take a really big bump and then just do the sit up, and you're like, oh, baby, he cannot be killed. He cannot be killed. That's it. He is too much. And then, and he was so smart with that character over time, because he would do stupid shit like where he would take the big bump, and you're so used to seeing him do the rise up. And he did that for 20 years unmatched. And I forgot which match. I think it was Lesnar. Lesnar hit him with a big move, and he does the like he's gonna get up, and he and he just slumps to the side. And you're like, Taker's beat. He can't get up, and then he wins the match. But it was like the psychology of it, where it's like people are so used to seeing that from him, and he was just masterful. And then he went from all gimmick to where it was all no sell, walk the rope, clothesline, choke slam, tombstone, to becoming an American Badass, where he had to kind of... Well, no, I'm skipping a phase. He went through all the gimmick stuff, and then the Mankind era happened, where it stopped being about the athleticism of what he was physically able to do as far as stalking his prey and trying to get him into a corner and use his overbearing strength. Then Mankind came in and just dismantled all that. He couldn't overpower Mankind, because Mankind would just take a beating and would never stay down. He couldn't. Mick allowed the Taker to open up a new chapter of his career because he was allowed to be vicious. He could hit Mick with anything from anywhere, whether it be a move or a fucking object he just picked up off the ground, and Mick just doesn't stay down. And it became the immovable object versus the unstoppable force. And it opened up a new chapter. I still have dreams, actual dreams, of the Hell in a Cell, watching him throw Mick off the fucking cell and Taker just fucking standing there staring at a dead man and not giving a fuck, because he's sitting there with a broken foot. Nigga, I'm hurt too. You ain't the only one broke. Now we broken together, okay? And after he went through that whole phase, he did the whole ministry deal where he's the devil and he's taking souls and doing all this. And then he disappears and he comes back as a bike-riding American badass. And even still, when he went through that whole phase of being big evil and he's the Undertaker and he's got the bandana and the motorcycle and all that stuff, he was super over, still cutting promos, just not... there was one time he said, I may not dress like the devil, but I may not dress like it anymore, but I'm still down with the devil and I'll bury your ass and all kinds of shit. He was making references, but he wasn't doing it anymore until Kane came back into the picture. Now he's the Deadman again. And then when he became the Deadman, you're thinking to yourself, he's going to go back to gimmick. Nope. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, he became a world-class catch-as-catch-can wrestler. He's wrestling. He's doing submission holds and MMA strikes. He's got the triangle hold with the fucking Hell's Gate and all this other. He's doing 6'9", 6'10". He's doing leg submissions, and he's wrestling with Kurt Angle, not like trying to overpower. He's wrestling. They're going hold for hold, move for move inside of a professional wrestling ring. They're out here grappling, and his metamorphosis is out of this fucking world. That's why I always get in trouble. But it's he was. You can go through the WWE landscape through eras. San Martino, Hogan, I dare say Brett. Some people like to argue me and say, well, Brett and Shawn. I'm going with one name, and I think that, to be fair, it was Brett. Into Stone Cold. People will argue, The Rock and Stone Cold. It was Stone Cold's era. Into Cena. Batista, Cena. It was Cena. And then you could make the argument, after Cena, as far as top, you go Roman Reigns. And then within those eras, with the exception of San Martino, you can start with Hogan. In the Hogan era, Taker was on top. The Stone Cold era, Taker was on top. The Bret era, Taker was on top. The Cena era, Taker was on top. Roman Reigns, Taker was on fucking top. That to me is the GOAT in WWE. To have that level right there, boom. He started on top in 1990, facing off with the champion and staying in the main event all the way from 1990 to 2000 and to the pandemic. Because that's when we did our 30th anniversary, whatever, for The Undertaker. That's the GOAT to me. So you can say whatever you want as far as wrestling ability. You can say whatever metric that you have. To me, a guy that's been on top of his field for 30 years that's great to me. So I personally like, you know, he deserves it. If he never wants to do it again, I can't even be mad at it because he did it perfectly for 30 years. So I can't even really be mad at it. But, you know, he said it himself, though. Money talks. I think if he ever did it again, it would ruin it, to be honest with you. Not ruin 30 years, but in that moment, I don't think it would look good. It would be weird. He could do the entrance.
It depends on what it is. I have faith that he understands what that is.
Yeah. He could do the entrance. I don't see him having a match, like he says. You know, if I've got something left in the tank for one more match. I don't know. I don't think we'll get to that. I can't see him never doing the entrance again, ever. And man, what a rub would that be for the person he does that entrance for. That'd be crazy. No, nobody recent, I don't think. I don't think there's anybody in the roster now that he would do that shit for. But we'll see. So, any other comments about The Undertaker?
No, we're good. He's a GOAT. I think he can do it right now if he was young. He could run it. I think he'd be good.
He could run it right now if he really wanted to. If he really put his fucking mind to it.
If he was younger and it's still in the game right now, I think he would be just as over actively than in the past. If you got it,
if he was in his prime right now.
If he was younger, I don't even want to say prime. It's got to be prime. Like as long as if he was still in work mode, younger.
Okay.
Younger in work mode, driving his gimmick, getting people to buy in, selling stories. I think he could do it. I think he could. In this era. Today.
I think he would be pissed wrestling some of the guys that are on the fucking roster right now.
I don't know. There's some people on those rosters he was on that shouldn't have been fucking.
He was
around.
Pissed then.
All right. So what's the difference? Nah, it's like you want to argue with me, bro. Just agree.
If you noticed, there was never a Taker versus Gangrel match.
No, there wasn't the famous Undertaker versus Doink the Clown.
Oh, did they not? No way. That would be. Oh, that's a good question. Hold on, let's make entirely sure here. Hold on, because I have those wrong.
I feel like there was.
There was no. That's a video game. Give me 1 second. No, there's nothing here. I'm gonna have to go back to my archive, but I don't think it ever happened. Man, you know what though? Not for nothing. Gimmick on gimmick crime. I can see why they didn't do that. A serious character like the Undertaker
would never.
You thought.
He's like, no, I'm not working with who. No, I'm good.
No Doink the Clown versus the Undertaker. That's gotta suck. We can't even do it now. He's dead. Damn, that sucks.
No.
I can't give you